Hey everyone, happy Friday. Welcome to another awesome episode of the Gathering Movement. I'm here today with my friend, my local New Jersey companion, Lydia Bagarosa. Welcome.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. This is so fun.
I'm excited. We finally got to meet each other in person a couple weeks ago too, which was magical in its own. So I'm very grateful that you are here. And before we started, I was like, wow, there are really two reasons why this interview is really impactful. Number one, and important, we have a workshop coming up, which we'll talk about that maybe throughout, maybe toward the end. Can't wait for that. But I've also never heard your full story of like your past in PR, working in the media or with the music industry. And I want to hear like the journey. So can you take us like a couple years back and tell us like a little bit more about where you started?
Yeah, sure. My journey was very interesting in that I started totally different from where I am now. So I started my whole journey actually in college. I did the radio station at school. I don't know if anyone knows that. So I had my own radio show. I don't even remember. One of them was Lightly Squeezed, which I thought was, I don't even know why I made it that. We have no idea. And then there was like another one. Don't remember. Okay. But anyway, I was always into music and I thought that I wanted to be in the music industry. And when I got out of school, I got offered a job in real estate development, which is totally opposite of what I wanted to do. But student loans were coming on. I'm taking you on the long-winded journey. This is a whole thing. All right. So I started in marketing, doing that. I graduated from Rutgers with a marketing degree. And so I was there for 3 years. And I was working at a small company. So I learned, I wore many hats, which I'm sure you understand. I know you used to kind of went through like the same background, but yeah, so I went into like website design. I was doing marketing. I was doing sales, all the things. And I got to a point where I was like, okay, what am I doing here? I've always wanted to be in music. So I quit my job, which is a theme for me, and decided to go into music. So I got this internship at a music PR company right out of New York City in Newark. And I thought it was going to be my absolute dream. It was in music. We were working with amazing musicians, top labels in the world. I got to spearhead and work on PR campaigns for podcasting with the Beach Boys, James Bay, X Ambassadors, Etta James Legacy Release, all these amazing, amazing artists. It was really, really cool. However, I got there and I hated it. So this is my whole journey. So basically it was very interesting in that I built my entire life towards this. And I got there and I was like, oh my God, this is not it. And like, what am I going to do? So I went through a whole like identity crisis, really, in that I was like, okay, I like PR, but I didn't like the music industry, which is wild. So anyway, I was trying to make it work and forcing it, and it just wasn't working out for me. And I ended up leaving and transitioning into lifestyle, beauty, and fashion PR. And it was very different in that lifestyle, beauty, and fashion PR is, especially for boutique brands, you really need to get like very scrappy with your pitching. Pitching is when you are basically writing like a story angle about your brand to publications or to podcasts. And it's different in that I wasn't getting responses like I was from like pitching the Beach Boys, obviously. These are boutique brands. It's totally different. So that's kind of where I got really strategic with the way I was pitching. I learned a lot. And then it's just funny, like they always were giving me the wellness brands because they knew I was into wellness. And I basically got into wellness, mindset, all the things because of my own personal rock bottom of being like, I don't like the music industry. What am I doing with my life? So basically to cope with that, I got into wellness. And so it kind of spiraled from there at this PR agency. They were like, oh, Lydia likes like wellness, like give her that brand, or, oh, she'll probably excel in getting like a founders feature. Like I was always really into pitching the brand founders for stories because I absolutely love stories. I think it's so important to kind of see the background of a brand. And that's kind of why you buy from, that's I buy from brands, especially boutique brands. So I became like obsessed with pitching for those background stories. And over the pandemic, I kind of was like, okay, I think I figured it out. Like, I want to start my own PR company, and I want it to really focus on these amazing female founders that I love, that are in my like beauty brands that I pitch, in the skincare and wellness brands that I pitch. And they have such cool stories of why they're there. And also, like, I'm personally very into self-development, and I feel like there's such a lack in the media for that. Yes, like podcasts are getting there, but especially for editorial, like there are like so many beautiful like outlets that are coming out, like Goop and Mind Body Green and Well and Good, and they're able to cover these types of stories. But I personally wasn't finding anything like I was finding on podcasts, right, in editorial. So yeah, I ended up starting my own company last year, and that's my bread and butter, is working with women in the self-discovery space, mentorship space. It's absolutely incredible in that I've been able to work with powerhouse entrepreneurs, also collaborating with Bridget. But yeah, it's just been amazing. So that is my really long-winded story that I have never shared. So here it is. Thank you for holding space for me to share it.
Oh, we heard it first. We heard it first. And just like you, I love this story. Like, I want to know where you came from, like what you went through to have the aha of like, this is why I'm doing X, Y, and Z of a thing. And I find it so cathartic to actually speak it out like this, right? For so many reasons, because we don't realize the journey we've taken.
Oh yeah. And it's interesting too, like and I know that you would get this, in that when I was going through that rock bottom space, I was also just not listening to my body. I was running myself into the ground, going into the city for shows and representing my clients, and then going home and I was barely making any money. And I was like, what am I doing? And then out of nowhere, my body, I started getting nerve pain in my arms and my hands. And I'm not kidding you. I was so like disconnected from my body that I thought I was having carpal tunnel symptoms. I went to the doctor and they're telling me, oh yeah, definitely carpal tunnel. I'm going to fit you for a cast. I was fit for a cast. I was going to chiropractors, hand specialists, all the things, trying to figure out what was physically wrong with me, because I was in pain every day. And it was funny that I actually like went to a psychic for fun. And I was just like getting my cards pulled and whatever. And then at the end, she's like, oh, do you have any questions? And I was like, this is really weird and random, but I've been experiencing nerve pain in my wrists and in my hands. And like, do you have any insight there? And she was like, okay, I'm not trying to offend you, because obviously like the pain's really there and it's real and it bothers you. However, have you ever thought about like the mind-body connection? And I was like, oh, this was a moment where I was like, oh my God, like she like thinks that I'm like crazy basically. And she was like, okay, I'm going to recommend this book by Dr. Sarno. I'm pretty sure, and we can also like put it in the comments afterwards. I think it's called the mind-body connection, or like the mind-body medicine. I don't know what it is, but anyway, I'll put it in the comments afterwards if anyone is interested. But she recommended this book, and I'm reading this book, and I'm like, and this really actually sparked like the whole wellness or unraveling and the rabbit hole. But I'm reading this book, and 2 chapters in, my nerve pain just disappeared. And this was me having issues for months. And I was going nuts. I would, like, my friends would call me on a Friday night, and I'm just like, I'd be depressed about it. I'd just be like, I don't feel good. Like, I just want to stay home tonight. And when you're in that space of not feeling well and being in such a dark place, like, you don't want to do anything. And it's just kind of a downward spiral. So it was kind of interesting in that, like, that kind of shifted everything, where I was like, wow, the mind has such an amazing connection with the body. And the fact that I created pain because I wasn't dealing with my emotions in another way. And I was like, okay, there's so much more to this than just like my experience. So then meeting all of these people that are like just so incredible, and all their different healing modalities and whatever it may be, just blew my mind. I just like couldn't get enough of it. So it's been such a beautiful treat, in that I get to pitch these like amazing thought leaders really to the media, and like create their press trail and make them be seen as like thought leaders within their industry, because they already are. They just don't have the means to get themselves into the media potentially. So I'm that person that is helping them get there. So that's my, yeah, that was the whole thing.
Wow. One thing that's coming to mind also, like you and I have a very similar mission of working with female entrepreneurs who are value driven. Like they want to make a difference on this planet. And through our different channeled outlets, coaching, whatever it is, we're able to elevate those voices. And this is something I believe is just so important right now, because like you're saying, many people are in physical pain. Many people are dealing with mental health issues. Many people are dealing with physical health issues or not knowing like their purpose on this planet. And the more that we can like raise these stories and these voices and these brands that are here to help people instead of like McDonald's advertising, I'm sorry, that's not important. Like we can make a revolution.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I just remember being in my space, like having zero awareness that this was even possible. I mean, I was going to doctors and thinking of all the physical things that could go on. I mean, Bridget, I was literally looking up different careers, like to the point of where I didn't have to be in front of a desk. I was like, should I be a teacher? Like it was just wild. It was wild. So anyway, it's just so incredible in that like this woman, she was a pivotal moment for me in recommending this book. But like, if this is so accessible to people in the media and in podcasts and whatever it may be, like, imagine the ripple effect in helping people, like you said. Like, imagine, like if I could have cut down my journey in half, that would have been so great to get rid of that pain and get rid of like an actual physical pain. Like I had no idea your emotions could manifest in the body. Like you go to the doctor and every once in a while they'll say like, and this is not to like shit on doctors. Like I think doctors are extremely amazing and like they've helped me thousands of times, but they go to the doctor and every once in a while they'll lightly say like, oh, are you stressed? And you're like, what does that even mean? Like, whoever sits down and explains it to you, right? So you're just like, okay, yeah, I guess I'm stressed. Like, I don't know. And so it's just so interesting. It really is.
Yeah. I feel that. We could probably go into like a whole other conversation on that.
Go this way.
For today, one thing that is coming to mind, this show is all about empowering people to just be the leader of their life, to take personal responsibility, to lead the life that they truly want for themselves, they envision for themselves. How do you feel like your work now, especially in starting your own PR company, how do you feel like that empowers people to be a leader?
Absolutely. So I do have one-on-one packages in that I do work with entrepreneurs one-on-one and pitch them to the media, whether it be to editorial, TV, podcasts, all the different spaces. But I also find, and this is, I guess this is like, the other day I was like, am I an industry disruptor? But I also, I also teach entrepreneurs to pitch themselves to the media. And this is like so against PR, probably like speak, but like anybody can be their own publicist. I'm sorry. It's true. You can pitch yourself as long as you have the tools. You don't need to have like some fancy name. And I've proved it time and time again. Personally, I like, when I first quit my job, I was like emailing from my personal Gmail account. Like people answer you if the story is good. It is what it is. So anyway, I have a program called Be Your Own Publicist where I teach entrepreneurs, impact-driven entrepreneurs, how to pitch themselves to the media. So we go through their positioning statement, their core message, how to present that in a compelling and concise way. And in turn, it actually ends up doing so much more for their whole brand. And I've been getting so much feedback that's been like filling my heart, but feedback in that people are saying that are taking my course, they're saying that like, this has totally changed the game for me. This has changed my entire business because it makes you sit down and get really serious about, well, how do you want to call yourself? What are the titles that you want to use? What really is your message? How are you impacting people? How do you say that in a way that's going to really just make sense and turn heads? And it's so interesting. Like there are some business owners out there, right, that are doing extremely wildly successful. And then you ask them what they do, and it's like this long-winded response. It doesn't really make any sense. And it's just interesting in that anybody at their stage, whether it be the beginner or whether it be mid-level or high level, sometimes people just don't have those statements really panned out for media. So I'm here to help you really hone in on that messaging And then in turn, you end up like changing your Instagram and your socials, and you end up changing your website and like going down the whole rabbit hole and branding and really looking at your brand of how you want to represent yourself when you are speaking to the media. So it's really amazing.
At the beginning of this year, I took a course because I wanted to learn how to do the same thing. I wanted to understand like what this PR world actually looks like. Because I think for many entrepreneurs, that word is scary. They don't really know what it means. And the same thing with the word pitching. I will tell you honestly, before I understood what that word is, which is simply just like emailing a story angle to a producer or a journalist, like it's simple. We tend to be like, this is scary. It's not for me. But like, these are the times where I do believe in bringing it back to the individual and giving us all the tools. And then we can choose what we want to do with the tools that we have. Maybe we'll still, pay for a publicist because we don't want to do it ourselves, but at least we know how to do it.
Yeah. And I love that you brought this up. So I'm going to explain what PR is. Sometimes people will email me and they're like, I really want new marketing. And I'm like, this is not the place for you. But, and it's nothing against them. It's something that I know so second nature that I'm like, oh, people don't know what PR is. So basically PR, if you hire a publicist or if you want to do it yourself, so I am the liaison between my brand and the media. So I am helping them shape their message in a way that is easily received with different story angles. It could be catered to seasons. It could be catered to different like evergreen type of pitches, meaning like it could be a story angle that you could pitch at any time. It doesn't have to be like, fall skincare, for example. Obviously, you would pitch that in the fall. So basically what I do is I'm the liaison in that I coordinate interviews, I coordinate features, and my job is to represent my client in the best possible light that makes sense for them so that they can get featured on these great outlets that are their dreams to be featured on. And then in terms of like any PR words, there really isn't too many. I do make a PR dictionary for my group. Yeah, so they're all like my personal definitions, but just like what is a pitch? It's basically just like an email where you are presenting a story angle, like you said. So there's that. There's what PR is, the difference between PR and marketing. Marketing, you're really focusing on the like consumer, where PR, you're focusing on your appearance with the media and with your audience.
I love that. It's a really good way to differentiate it. And I'm so glad I understand these things too. And one thing that I think you and I noticed, so I've been teaching people how to use live video for a long time and been utilizing it in my own business a lot for many, many years. And one thing we both realized is that a lot of like the titles are very similar to like a headline. So we saw this like crossover, and I feel like that's when we realized, oh wow, like what if we got together and created a workshop on how to actually utilize these tools and utilize our backgrounds to teach someone how to get onto shows like this, to get onto much bigger shows where they're able to reach thousands and thousands of people and new people on their business.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the thing too. I mean, just going down that path, but like, you're able to reach a certain audience on your social media. You're able to reach a certain audience in your networks, and there's referral and word of mouth, and that's kind of how it grows. But what if you can be in front of thousands and thousands and thousands just in one episode or in one feature? It's very possible to do that, and that's through PR. And the way that you can see that too, you can actually see real numbers of like, how many downloads does this podcast have? Or like, how many unique visitors per month does this feature have? And it's just wild. I always share that information with my clients, and then I teach in my class, Be Your Own Publicist, how to look at that too. But it's wild to see, like, if you get a feature on, a top tier site, you can, like Forbes, you can reach 100 million people potentially, which is insane. And from there, you're going to get at least a few fans, right? So it's just really cool in that it's a totally different way to reach your exact audience, because the people that are going to be reading your article or the individuals that are going to be listening to your episode, those are your audience members, right? They're not going to read the title and be like, I'm going to force myself to read this whole thing. They're going to read it because they're interested. So it's really, really cool in that respect, that it's just like a totally different way to really reach a large number of individuals.
Yeah. And I think back to like when I first started my business, I didn't see these different types of like elevation with the media as like my next best step. But now, as someone who's grown the business, worked with a lot of women from all over the world, it's like we're starting to get smarter with how we divide and devote our time. Because, oh, wow, if we could just be on one publication or get featured on a TV show or get on a really good podcast, it's a lot easier than like posting 5 times a day at like 2:55 or like whatever, you know, your algorithm is.
Yes. And Bridget and I, we had such a beautiful conversation when we decided to create this workshop. Like, we were just like going in, we're like, we're going to give them all the things and we're going to have freebies. And like, it really is a steal. Like, we normally only provide this information are like high ticket containers. So this is like, you know, get in on it. But what's so interesting is that both of us were like, wow, we can work smarter, not harder. And we can empower women and empower, really, I mean, this is for anybody, really. You can be any gender you identify with, empowering you to really just, reach your audience members and work smarter, not harder, and not feel like you're at the grind. And I think we get to a certain level in our businesses too, like it just, time is our biggest asset. So it just comes to the point of where like, we don't want to continue like posting and creating the content and pumping and pumping and pumping, because we need to work in our business too. We need to serve our clients. So this is a beautiful way in that you can really like, you can take some time and you can pitch podcasts and you can get on a show and you can reach right there, like 100,000 people. And that's just with one episode. So, yeah, we are so excited about this. Oh my God, we saw so many crossovers. I mean, I teach people entrepreneurs how to get their brand positioning in order and how to present themselves and different like catchy angles that really get you booked. And then Bridget's over there just like slaying in terms of your core messaging. And she has beautiful mindset techniques that I personally use that just help in so many ways where you don't have to feel like you're disempowered in these interviews. I mean, listen to her now. She's a freaking pro. So it's really like, it's so incredible. And feel free, Bridget, to even like speak on the other things that you're going to be touching on. But I'm just so excited about this workshop.
Me too. So what we're going to be doing is like a 2-part workshop where Lydia's going to be starting us off, helping us understand our brand positioning, a little bit more of our core messaging, and some of the angles that we can take and how to actually pitch these podcast producers.
Yes.
And then where I'm going to come in is the speaking component. And I always say public speaking is not a spectator sport. So I can't sit here and tell you how to do this. Like, you have to get dirty in the ring and you have to practice and you have to show up messy. So that's what we're going to do. It's going to be 2 hours of jam-packed information and like, we're fun. So come hang out with us. Come join us. It's going to be amazing.
I'm like, we're actually like really fun.
Oh,
I love it. And yeah, Bridget's going to actually do breakout rooms where you can practice public speaking. And you know, like that is just such a skill that, again, you need to practice. You can have all the things down that you want. But when it comes to public speaking, sometimes I get a little nervous, and that's okay. I was a little nervous coming on here today. But knowing how to work with that in a way where you can like still bring your A game and just feel really good when you leave. And that's another thing too. You're bringing your confidence and you're bringing your amazing message that you have. And like everyone that we work with in our space, like, is so incredible. Every single person blows me away. I'm just like, oh my God, what is your business? What do you do? And so if you feel really good about that confidence, it's just going to help in so many different ways. And people get to hear your story too. So you're able to sell without selling, which is really cool. Selling without selling. I can't even tell you. And it's funny because Bridget posted yesterday or 2 days ago, I'm not sure, about how her story about purchasing something off of listening to a podcast. And that got me. I was so inspired. I was like, oh my God. And then I was thinking about all the things that I personally purchased and like here's a great story. So I was listening to like Almost 30 the other day. It's one of like the many podcasts that I listen to on a regular basis, and one of like the bigger ones I listen to. And they interviewed the founder of It Cosmetics, and I don't really personally buy It Cosmetics, but I was like cleaning my room, and I was like, why not? We'll listen to it. Fully blown away by the conversation. Fully blown away. And the reason why I listened to it was because I trusted that show. So you can pitch to shows that you trust, right? Otherwise, I would have never heard her story. I would have never Googled It Cosmetics. I did not expect the founder to be so humble, so incredible in that, like, she had a mission, and that's why she used a beauty brand as a vessel to roll out this mission of like body empowerment, body positivity. Like it blew my mind. And now I'm like, oh my God, I need new makeup. I need new skincare. I need cosmetics. And it's just wild. So it really is so cool. And like, that's just a story in itself that you can totally shift somebody who might not have even thought about being a fan to being a fan for life. Right. And then just down the rabbit hole of me like buying 1,000 things off of like all of the other episodes that I've listened to. Down from like, I've literally bought like bras, I bought essential oils, I bought an EMF like device thing. Oh yeah, that was a bit. All the things. Anyway, it's just so cool, and that you get to hear these stories, and like I fall in love with brands, and that's why I buy from them. And especially as a service-based entrepreneur, you are your brand, you are the service. So people are going to be working with you. I mean, Bridget, I'm sure you can speak on this too, but how many times do you think about potentially working with a service-based brand for a service that you need, and start looking up like interviews or like videos on their Instagram or whatever it may be, because you're like, you want to get an essence of them. You want to make sure that your personalities work when you're working with them.
Yep. I just wrote a post on this yesterday. I realized that the first coach I ever invested in, I was watching endless live videos. She would do like a weekly live. So it made me like her. I was learning things from her. Like I was learning things about her and like her life. And that made me want to be in her energy, just be in her space. And like, that's it. It's so, so simple. And this is why we use like the voice to share these messages further and wider, because people get to know us. Like they like us. Or they don't like us, which is also fine, right?
Fine, because then you're getting to your core audience. And it's so great in that when you get on these different media outlets, you're going to reach your core audience, and then they'll do the work of sifting through for you. They're not going to reach out unless they really feel like they resonate with you. So they're doing the work for you. You don't need to be going through your socials and messaging people like, hey, I saw that we are mutual friends with Bridget, and I just wanted to reach out. Like, no. Work smarter, not harder, right? So, oh my God, I could go on forever about this, really. But I just want to say I really appreciate you asking my story, because I never really told it. I mean, I said this earlier, but I really have never told it. So I just really appreciate you having me on today to talk about that. And yeah, so the workshop that we've been talking about is happening on July 22nd. The replay will be available for whoever signs up. And we have a ton of freebies. I mean, I'm giving out pitch samples. I never do that. Like literally never. And yeah, it's just going to be great. We're going to have so many freebies. We're going to have fun on the call. It's 2 hours. And like I said, like, I'm not trying to do my own horn here, but it could totally shift your business. Totally shift it.
Yeah. Preach. All right. As we wrap this up, and I think we could literally be here for an hour and a half. So we'll be back next week, folks. But I want to ask you just any kind of final words of wisdom or anything that you have coming up that you want to share with anyone.
Yeah. Well, other than the workshop, I am running another round of Be Your Own Publicist. So if you are looking to empower yourself in pitching to the media and learning, I mean, it's a ton of different things. It's not just learning to pitch yourself. It's also learning about brand positioning, like I said, and like how to really get in on your core message of your business and how to present that. And everybody in my course, they end up just doing a full revamp of their branding. And it ends up stemming from like, it ends up in turn, turning into like confidence and all these different things that they didn't have before. So it's just really cool. I'm watching that transformation. So if you are interested in that, feel free to DM me. That is running in September. We're almost done with our course now. It's so wild. It's almost ending, but it is a 12-week course. So it's 8 weeks of education, 4 weeks of execution, where I will be with you to actually pitch with you. So we'll do 2 angles where I review them, I edit them, and send them back. There's a Facebook group where you can talk amongst all of the other entrepreneurs on this journey with you, so you don't need to be alone. I am also there to answer questions. We do weekly Zoom calls, so it's extremely hands-on. That's just how I am. I like to get in there and really assist, because the whole point of that is to empower you. Oh, and another thing is, like, people ask me all the time, like, why would you do this? Like, why would you do something that could actually take business away from you? Which is funny, because it literally is, but I don't see it that way. I see it as an opportunity to empower women. And I genuinely feel that if we're all rising, we all rise together. It's wild. It's wild. Like, you create an ecosystem too, where everybody is investing in each other, and it's just creating this like huge platform of wealth that just keeps rising. So yeah, I'm here to help empower. I just love that I'm on this journey, and Bridget's work is amazing too. I mean, everyone that's seeing this probably knows about her work, but yeah, I preach. I just absolutely love you, Bridget. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Thank you. I love just hearing you talk, because there's always nuggets of wisdom infused throughout all of your stories and all of your words. So that was beautiful, beautiful. And I loved your differentiation between marketing and PR. The way that you said that just really solidified it for me too. So that was beautiful. I'm so grateful for you. I hope that we see all of you at the workshop on July 22nd. The link is in the description of this video. You can also just comment and say, woo, that sounds good. I'll be there, and we'll send you over the link. And just thank you everyone for supporting this show. It's such a blast for me to interview awesome people and amplify these stories. I truly, truly believe in this mission. So I just want to thank you all for being here. Have a beautiful weekend ahead. Happy 4th of July. And thank you, Lydia, for being here.
Thank you so much. Happy 4th of July.